So the gospel text for this Sunday is, of course, a familiar text. We've heard the story of the three wise men, or the magi, or the three kings many times before, and in fact, in some cases, may have even woven it into our Christmas story or even Christmas programs in the past. It's a very familiar sort of tale, and yet I can't help but notice that there's something about these wise men that we often get a little lost or confused about. And in fact, even translators have had a really difficult time as to what to call these groups of folks who have traveled afar to find the Christ child. It's interesting because the word that we get the wise men from, or the magi from, can mean, well, a lot of different things. Anything from folks who are literally wise men to the magi, which were magicians, or even someone who was of good mind in scientific endeavors. Which kind of made me wonder, so what in the world could these people be? And if they were magicians, well, that makes my mind go off into a whole different realm altogether. And in fact, it makes me think about the story of the magician and his two sons. Have you ever heard this story before? There's once this very wise magician who was very gifted with a number of different magical skills, and while he wasn't really good with the ability to make bunnies pull out of hats or anything like that, he was really good at writing. Now, I know you might think that that's a little strange, that that would be his great gift, but you see, this magician, anything he wrote down in a book would come to life. And he had an entire library of books that he wrote, wonderful, amazing tales about places and events, and all you had to do was pick up the book, and you'd immediately be teleported to this wonderful place where all these great things were taking place, where you'd encounter seemingly anyone you could ever possibly imagine, and go to places that were just breathtaking and beyond imagination. And his two sons would follow him on these adventures through these stories he had written, and they became so enamored in these different places that as they grew older, the two sons, well, they got a little envious and jealous of their father's gift, and them themselves tried to learn how it was that he had this wonderful skill where all he had to do was open up an empty journal and jot down things, and they'd come to life. And despite their best efforts, they never could quite figure it out, until one day they decided that they were going to raid their father's library of all these wonderful magical books and burn the pages in it. But what they didn't realize is when they ripped out the pages and they were burning the pages, they weren't just destroying the books, but they were destroying these whole worlds that their father, the magician, had made. Whole beautiful worlds with rolling landscapes, villages, people of their own right in these amazing little stories that would come to life. When the magician, the father, came home one day and saw what the two sons had done, he was so hurt, so distraught, so saddened by what he had seen had happened. He left out two other books he had written. Two other books that he knew that his sons wouldn't help but want to pick up and try to explore themselves. But you see, these two other books, they weren't like the other books that he had written. They weren't wonderful, magical places of adventure, but they were traps. And when the two sons opened up the two books, they got stuck inside and weren't able to escape again. And the father himself, this great magician, having felt so much distress over the harm and damage that his sons had caused to countless worlds in his stories, didn't just imprison his sons in two books, but he went and imprisoned himself too. so that he wouldn't be able to let his sons out, and so that his sons wouldn't ever be able to escape and try to let him out of the book either. Some magical powers that folks have, some magical gifts that folks attribute to many countless stories over the ages, make us wonder what we would do with such great power or gifts. And it's interesting that in this story from Matthew's Gospel, these wise men are called magi, these amazingly gifted, possibly magical folks. But they don't use their gifts in some type of otherworldly way. No, they watch the stars. They watch the sky. They watch for signs of things beyond themselves. And when they see something truly extraordinary, they go out to learn as much as they can about it. They don't try to use it for themselves. They don't try to hoard it to themselves. They don't try to stash it someplace for their own benefit. No, they go out to let the world know about this great, wondrous thing that they've seen happening. And these magi, these wise men in Matthew's Gospel, follow a star for countless days and months to find not some great king, but a simple child playing with his mom. And yet that simple child is enough to make a real king, King Herod, afraid. Afraid for himself, afraid for what he had understood his world to be. I wonder for us as people of God in our world today, when we see these wondrous, miraculous signs of things taking place around us, do we go out of our way to share this great, wonderful news to those who are around us? Or do we just keep it bundled up in closed books on a shelf to ourselves? We as people of faith have a remarkable, wonderful, powerful story of faith that was given to us and passed on from generation to generation. As people who are heirs of that wonderful, amazing story, we need to be able to live into an epiphany ourselves. Live into a world-changing, mind-opening, heart-raising new life where we are bold enough to share the story of our faith with everyone we meet. Because it's not just for ourselves. It's not just for our own selves. It's not just for our own devotion or our own peace of mind. But it's for this whole created world that we only just get to visit for a short period of time. So, sisters and brothers, how are we going to share this news today? How are we going to live into this gospel promise of new life so that we might be wise too and step out of our familiar surroundings to share this gift of God given to us? Share this gift of God given in unexpected ways. See, just as the wise men left for their own country on another road, we're too called to leave this place, to go out into this world and share this story with everyone we meet. And not just wait until the next Sunday when we get to gather again here to hear it told anew again. May God's Spirit send us out. May it fill us with hope and love and joy to really tell God's good news and make it echo from all the corners of this world. Amen.